What happens in Georgia gets revealed one by one as the facts are unsealed. From the pit comes what they don't want you to see. When the daily nugget of truth is dropped with your host, BKP.
All right, folks, welcome to Friday. Yes, welcome to Friday. I'm your host, BKP, and you're watching BKP Politics on voiceofruralamerica.com, voiceofruralamerica.com, BKP Politics. Don't forget, we're over at Substack. We publish an article every day. Yesterday wasn't quite as long. I had let's see, today is Friday, so I had Tuesday and Wednesday were very deep articles and a lot of work. Yesterday we got something out, and today we have a lot going on. So anyhow, over at Substack, Vora, V-O-R-A, Vora, V-O-R-A, and we also have Facebook, X, Rumble, and YouTube, and our website, voiceofruralamerica.com, over there. Now, I've been doing some super sleuthing. You ever do any super sleuthing, right? You know, super sleuthing? But before we do, Chuck Norris. Wow, Chuck Norris. So, yes, we lost Chuck Norris. Just saying, right there. Wanted to start right there. I've been doing some super sleuthing. What is that, super sleuthing? Here is my hat. It's my Columbo hat. Can you see that? It says Columbo on the back. Can you see that? It says Columbo, and it says just one more thing. Just one more thing. Columbo. I have a friend had this hat made for me. It says just one more thing, Columbo on the back, because this person said I've never seen anyone that's just like, wait a minute. Well, anyhow, there you go. So that's my hat. Super sleuthing. Now, before we dig in, President Trump keeps saying excursion. He does. He keeps saying excursion. All right? And I keep thinking, excursion? Excursion is a short journey. This is the Iran war. Now, to me, we're in what, day 21, whatever? And just saying, an excursion is a short journey or outing, often organized for pleasure tourism or specific purpose intended for a prompt return. Okay. It refers to a leisure trip. That's what they sent the young guys off to Vietnam for their senior trip, right? Wow. Or a structured activity. This is activity, structured activity, such as a sightseeing trip during a vacation or a school field trip. I mean, that is what, when I put in, what's the definition of excursion? Because President Trump keeps saying, well, we're on an excursion. What? And let me just say here, before we go too far into today, I'm thinking, wait a minute. Where is... Here we go. Let's see here. Right there it is. The Pentagon. The Pentagon, whatever happened to Doge? What happened to cutting government spending? What happened to that? Remember when we used to cheer for that? You remember here it is, Hegseth on seeking $200 billion for Iran war. And that number could move. Remember when we started in this administration, we would have the cabinet meeting. Remember the very first cabinet meeting, they did not have a seat for Elon. And Elon gave this report. And then the second cabinet meeting, Elon got a seat and a name placard out front. Remember that? And then they went around the table and everybody was giving a report of how many billions and millions and trillions and cajillion, I'm just making all that up, but hundreds of millions of dollars of contracts they cut and duplication they found in the system. And you remember those days? Seems like it was like an eternity ago. I'm just saying. Like, wait a minute. So $200 billion for an excursion. I'm telling you, he's only got a couple more weeks. I'm just saying that. He's only got a couple more weeks. So back to Chuck Norris, the excursion. Now let's get into what we're doing today. Because you know me. I will not do no cheerleading. No cheerleading, all right? I will not cheerlead for a politician. Won't happen. I don't believe in it. So here's a little tip. If you go on social media and you keep seeing this over the top, every one of your legislators, senators, the governor, everybody is bragging about a bill and what they just did for you, and they want you to get all whooped up and yay, thank you, and become cheerleaders. That's a tip. And I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to tell you why. All right. So first of all, we have Legislative Day. Where are we at? It is the first day of spring, right? Is today the first day of spring? March 20th? So on March 20th here, we have day 35 on Friday. And then you have Monday, Wednesday, and Friday of next week. And what will happen on day 30, 24, and 26? So on day 23, on day 36, this is a little confusing, sorry. On day 36, which will be the 23rd, Monday, they will finalize bills and send them into committees and behind closed doors. So I'm going to call this personally the 24th and the 26th are behind closed door smoke-filled rooms. All right? Where they're making deals. So on the 25th, you have to have your eyes clear open for the 37th day. And then on the 26th, they will then go back into smoke-filled rooms. You can see it. They're not in session on that day. And then on Friday, they will come out. And then on the 31st of March, I will get through this, will be day 39. They will use April 1st to go in behind closed doors to put the finishing touches on what they plan to ram through on day 40, April 2nd. So buckle up, get ready, and I hope we have a lot of people paying attention to legislation and not just, yesterday this bothered me really because we're going to get into it now. So the gas tax. And I'm going to, I wish we spend as much money stopping these people from taking our money than cheering when they give us a little portion back. Here's a taste. Right? If we would spend more time fighting the take than cheering for, thank you, sir, may I have another? Thank you, sir, can I have a little more? Can I have some porridge, please? I'm not joking. I can't stand the cheerleading. And this right here is where, when I say prove, people say, prove it. This right here is where I will stake claim you're not going to see property tax, all right, done away with. They can't. You're not going to do away with your state income tax. And that's where I have to tell you the truth. I kind of get angry when I see stuff like this right here from Rick Jackson, and I'm Burt Jones has done it, but when I see cut the income tax in half, right? Freeze property tax, deport criminals, cut the income tax in half, freeze property tax. Okay, so, and ban government benefits for those who won't work. Now, I'm not taking up for the state of Georgia in no way whatsoever, but someone should tell Mr. Jackson that in the grand scheme of things, and that grand scheme would be the continental lower 48, I don't know about Alaska or Hawaii, but in the grand scheme of things, Georgia has actually one of the best states for work requirements for benefits. All right, but anyhow, moving right along. Cut the income tax. This is where I get really irritated with these things in the mail. And they know they won't do it and can't do it. So let's get back to alleviating the gas tax for 60 days and everybody cheering. Everybody cheering. Well, this is just amazing. It's amazing. Brian Kemp says he will suspend the Georgia gas tax amid surging prices. Okay. So first of all, if you're writing things down, which you should be, let's take right now and write down every time you go to the pump when there's no, right? When there's no alleviating of the gas tax, this is what you're paying over and above on the gallon. Let's start there. Let's use our heads a little bit, okay? Let's go to the whiteboard and write this down. On any given day, when you don't suspend the gas tax, this is what I'm paying over and above for a gallon to send down to Atlanta so they can, they could provide infrastructure. Why, you don't want infrastructure? What infrastructure do you want to do away with? And then, have you ever gone to the meetings and say, hey, why do you need this money? Do you not want infrastructure? It's almost they beat you down to where you feel like you're supposed to apologize to them for asking. I swear to God, I have been to commission meetings over and over. Brian, just what service would you like to do without? What service do you recommend we cut? I'm sorry, sir. I'm sorry I even said that. I promise I will try to never say anything like that again. Well, it's okay, but you're going to have to give your money. Yes, sir, I'll be glad to, after you've explained why I have to give it all to you. I'm sorry. Really, I have witnessed this, right? So pay attention every time you go to the pump. So, but the masses are, oh, this is just amazing. Why, there's Brian Kemp once again saving the day for hard-working Georgians, just when no one else will. Serenity now. So, Governor Kemp will approve a 60-day suspension of the Georgia gas tax Friday, making the Republican-led state among the first to respond to surging fuel prices after Trump administration military strikes on Iran. So we've got to save the world because Trump is attacking Iran, right? Now, in that, the suspension, now listen to this, because this is where I want you to write it down. The suspension will save drivers 33 cents per gallon on gasoline. So, on a regular day, when you go to fill up, you give the state of Georgia. Now, This is not federal. He cannot alleviate federal gas tax. Got it? So this is not all the taxes. This is state. 33 cents on that gallon. Okay? Goes down to Atlanta. And 37 cents a gallon on diesel. Okay. Costing the state up to $200 million a month. Georgia has billions of dollars in reserve and can use to cover the lost revenue. Now, where do they get these billions of dollars? And if they could do this in 60 days, and they could do this in 60 days and keep building a roundabout at every corner. Well, there's no corner. You can't put roundabout and corner in the same sentence. So we'll back that up. But, build 92, 11, 57, 82, 19 roundabouts all over the state and not miss a beat. I'm just saying that because where we live in rural North Georgia, they put roundabouts everywhere. I mean, we just go around and around. And that being said, so they're going to cut that 33 cents to 37. Well, and they're cheering. And you're on there and they're cheering all day. Here it is, right? Governor Kemp to sign 60-day gas tax suspension, right? And I'm not picking on any particular politician, but the cheering is out there. Gas tax, 60-day gas tax suspension. I voted yes. I voted yes, Drew Eccles said. Delivering relief for Georgians. I'm sorry, it just takes me a minute. I can't get over. It's just overwhelming when they deliver my relief. I'm sorry. I don't know what's happened to me today. But I can't cheer, right? And then it's all over, right? I mean, I could go on and on and on. Charlie's Bird down there, the Freedom Caucus. We led the way. I like the Freedom Caucus. We led the way in getting hardworking Georgians a relief. So we have now, Georgia Senate passes HB 1199, gas tax suspension. These are all on the internet, right? Now, it would take another 2 hours seriously for all the cheering that's going on. All the cheering. I alleviated your gas tax. Okay, now, so let's get to the facts. Columbo, right? Let's get to the facts. We're going to do facts all day. And then I'm going to solve them. I think I have an unsolved mystery. Remember the guy who used to do unsolved mysteries? I think I have one. I think I may have solved it. Think, question mark. Can't prove it. All right, so here you go. Now, I tell you this, yes. I love when I ask AI a question that I know because I want AI to say I'm correct. I mean, I live for AI to say you are correct. I do, It means a lot to me. You are correct. Now, some of you may not remember this. House Bill 170 passed in 2015. It's frequently cited as one of the largest tax increases in Georgia history. In 2015, Republicans in charge. 2015. Nathan Deal, right? Largest tax increase in Georgia history, okay? While the state is currently moving to suspend the tax in 2026, talking about now, the 2015 law fundamentally changed how Georgia's infrastructure is funded, all right? The goal to generate roughly $1 billion a year in new revenue. The shift is to replace the old hybrid tax to a flat excise tax. The invisible increase because gas prices were low in 2015. The immediate impact at the pump was minimal, right? Total revenue in the first year was about $900 million that they brought in. Also, the new fees. Now, this is where I want to explain HB 170, when they passed the largest tax increase. This is how they did this, right? They passed the largest tax increase in history. They also put on fees in this bill. Remember the electric vehicle, the hotel motel, $5 per night, the heavy truck fee. So this is where I stop and tell you, when you read a property tax bill that says we're going to cap this percent, and then we're going to give your county, your Board of Education, your cities creative ways to fill in the gap to cover their losses on property tax with letting them to use it to create fees. They do it all the time. This is not new. You will always be their creative tax. You will always be their new fees, and you will always be their assessment, because you will always be their collateral. Don't forget it. Now, moving right along. So here's another one. I asked a question. All right. And again, I got yes, obviously. Yes, Georgia House Bill 170 passed in 2015 as the Transportation Funding Act, was widely considered and described as a significant tax increase. It was designed to raise nearly $1 billion annually for Georgia transportation infrastructure by restructuring how motor fuel is taxed. Now, here's where we get to the interesting part. All right? Ready? When the Georgia gas tax is suspended, now pay close attention. I don't mean to be rude, but pay close attention. When the Georgia gas tax is suspended, the tax savings are indeed applied at the distributor broker level. Now keep that in mind, the distributor broker level. So you have all pulled into a gas station or convenience store or a Buc-ee's or Boosie's or whatever you call it. You've all pulled in there, QT, the list goes on, racetrack. Don't want to leave anybody out. And you see the truck on the end filling up the little tanks in the ground. When that truck picks up the fuel, the distributor and broker level, that's where the tax exchange is alleviated or implemented, not at your gas station. So if that truck delivers gas or diesel that has the tax on it, when they have their computer printout, that station is only charging you tax to recover what they had to pay when it was put in the ground. You with me so far? So keep this in mind, all right? When you hear that they're going to alleviate the gas tax for 60 days, immediately you get the impression you, the end user, your gas is going to go down immediately 33 cents a gallon. Because right now, trust me, these brokers all over the state, I drive from Canton, so you've got major spots. I'm going to call it major spots. You got Canton, come on up to Jasper, Georgia, come on up to Ellijay, Georgia, come on up to Blue Ridge, Georgia, and then go on up to Blairsville. All the same road. Let's see, Canton, Jasper, Ellijay, right? Blue Ridge, all the same road. Sorry about that delay. All the same highway, 5 different price structures. No matter what, 5 different price structures. Now, that being said, when a gas tax is suspended, immediately you think of end user. The tax savings are indeed applied to the distributor broker level, right? Rather than at the individual gas station pump, making it necessary for retailers to pass that savings to the consumer. Did you get that? Making it necessary for retailers to pass the savings. Pay attention there, Baba Louie. Now, the retailer's role. Because retailers are buying the fuel cheaper from the distributor. That's who's getting the tax break. That's who's getting the tax break, the retailer. They pick it up, there's no tax on that ticket. They drop it off, there's no tax on that ticket. And the next step is they're supposed to give it back to you. The retailer role, because retailers are buying the fuel cheaper from distributors, listen close, it is at their discretion. Did you hear that? You want to hear it again? It is at their discretion to lower their price at the pump to reflect the savings, often taking a few days to trickle through as they sell off older taxed inventory. Now, what you will see is not an immediate at the pump, okay? What you will see is not an immediate at the pump, because they have the right to filter through the fuel that they paid tax on and not give that back to you. But the new fuel that goes in the tank, tax-free, is the big word there, at their discretion to lower their price. So, if you go back here, just a minute, I had it here, hold on. If you go back here, when we started this, remember, you're paying 33 cents a gallon for gas, 37 a gallon for diesel. So we'll stay with gas. They may give you 20 cents and keep 13, and they didn't break any laws. Nope, didn't break any law. They may give you 30 cents and keep an extra 3 cents a gallon. They broke no laws. They can keep 5 cents. They can give you all 33. So I would say this, by Monday, because most stations recycle in 24 hours. By Monday, if you don't see your gas prices go down 33 cents, go in. Now look, don't be mean to a cashier or a gas attendant or whatever you call it nowadays, all right? But don't be mean with those people. They do not set the pricing outside on the marquee, where we call it the tote board, the scoreboard. They don't do it. The company does. Company calls from Atlanta or whatever, change to this. They change it. Right? So keep that in mind. But in the most respectful way, start putting pressure on your gas stations this weekend and ask them. Ask them, say, hey, are you giving me back? Did you roll back all 33 cents? And if these stations are different prices all through North Georgia or wherever you're at, call your lawmakers. Well, it'll be the weekend. I don't care. I don't care. Call your lawmakers, because they're the ones on there bragging that they did it. They did it for you. So call your lawmakers and tell them, email them, say, hey, I want this gas station right here. I want you to check this gas station and see if they gave us back all 33 cents that they got back. Or are they skimming off the top? Remember the words discretion. And remember the other thing, on any given normal day, you're giving them 33 cents on gas and 37, and that's the state, that's not federal. And keep in mind, HB 170 is the largest tax increase in the history of Georgia. And keep in mind, they will alleviate any losses that they feel are going to happen, and you are the provider, you're the gap on any loss. Never forget it. So if you're sitting out there thinking they're going to get rid of, because it's cheerleading. Remember, I don't cheerlead. You're thinking they're going to cut your property tax, or cut your income tax in the state in half, or he's going to freeze it. This one gets me with Jackson. And I'm not knocking Mr. Jackson at all. But he's going to cut income tax in half. I want to know how. And then he's going to freeze property tax. Right? He does a whole lot of promises saying if he can't do it on day one. And then he says, if I can't do it, I will not run again. All right? So anyhow, we'll get into that in a minute. So next on the agenda, going into the weekend, folks, this is just my opinion, okay? You have wanted, could someone please take the time to look this up and tell me if it's true or false? Got it? Please take the time, look this up, and tell me if it's true or false. Now, Diebold voting machines. If memory serves me right, Catherine Cox, the last Democrat's Secretary of State. Now, I have not spoke to Kathy Cox in years, but I'm gonna be transparent. When she was the dean of Young Harris College, I went up to Young Harris College multiple times and sat right next to her, invited by her in my emails or text messages to come watch a basketball game. I watch many, I don't care how mad you get, I watch many basketball games with former Secretary of State Kathy Cox at Young Harris College as the dean. There you go. Take a minute. Throw the stuff. Oh my God, I can't believe it. Well, so it happened. You're always guaranteed the truth here. Now, but what I remember, Kathy Cox made the purchase, so please help clear this up for me, made the purchase of the machines, the new voting system. That was approved by the state, okay? But it was Karen Handel who implemented those machines. Just check me out. Karen Handel, right, implemented those machines in the state of Georgia as Secretary of State. I'm going to pull all this up. I'll have it for you Monday, but I want you to check. Then after Karen Handel, let's see, who do we go with next? Do we go with Brian Kemp? Just saying. Brian Kemp. And then after Brian Kemp, we go with Brad Raffensperger for 8 years, or going into 2020, our 8th year, right? So the Secretary of State, we'll talk about that next week. To me, in the line of constitutional offices, is one of the most important elections in this upcoming year, Secretary of State. But that being said, look at how long Georgia has said we're going to use an electronic voting device. Now, I have seen over the years hundreds of people drive hours, stand on their feet, sit in a room 6 and 7 hours to get 3 minutes to talk to the State Board of Elections or a committee. Call their lawmakers saying, we want hand-marked, hand-counted paper ballots. Even to the point, I'm going to call it a charade, that a charade was put out for the Election Integrity Task Force panel or whatever, a fact-finding mission over the summer. Because now I like Victor Anderson. I'm going to tell you, I like Victor Anderson. I think he's a nice guy. But, right, touchscreens voting likely to remain in place for Georgia midterms. That's number one. And the next one, SB 214, lawmakers unveil proposal to replace Georgia's voting machines before the 2028 presidential election. So SB 189, right, is law. The law says that SB 189, now QR codes are against the law, have to be removed by July 1st of 2026 this year, And I am of the opinion, just like I started, when we finish this legislative session, the door will be open, all right? The door will be open, this is my opinion, the door will be open to buy the next electronic voting device. Now, this was not an accident that, is it ESNS or ESNS, right? This is not an accident that this electronic voting system showed up for a demo for lawmakers the other day. So I say we end the session with Brian Kemp signing something that extends the law on SB 189, the QR codes, till next year, 2027. It's what I think. We're not done. And I think we'll have something that says we want to open the door for our next election system, preferably electronic. Just saying. I don't know all that, but we're just putting it out there. Now, one more thing on the state legislature today. Georgia SB 552. Now, this is an action alert called today by 5 p.m. I probably won't have this out, but I want to put it out anyway because I want to let you know what you're getting ready to have happen. And this bill particularly bothers me on multiple levels. Action alert called today by 5 p.m. or tomorrow by 9 a.m. and ask the House to vote no. Vote no on SB 552. There is a strong possibility the bill will be voted on and it'll clear the House floor. And let me tell you what particularly bothers me on this bill. And, you know, what bothers me is we have all of our bills down in Atlanta have these super bold headlines. I mean, and they are aggressive and they sound great. And the summary of the bill sounds like, wow. But they hide the details. As they say, the devil is in the details. Well, that is the definition of Georgia bills, the legislation that is put forth to be voted on. The devil is in the details of every single one. That's where you can find the devil. He's a sly old fox. I wish I could catch him and put him in a box. But that being said, that's where it's at. We have these bold bills. They sound good. And then we have the cheering, right? Now, this bill is particularly set up, and this is not an attack of Turning Point USA. So I don't want Charlie's Children's, or hold on a minute. I don't want this to cause Erica Kirk to get a couple tears. I would push them back. I don't want Erica to get tears. But this is under the guise of cheering for Turning Point USA and not discriminating against Charlie's message of freedom and Turning Point USA and all the Turning Point children's, right? So SB 552 overrides local control by forcing every public school in Georgia to allow partisan political organizations, even if a community prefers to keep politics out of its school, all right? The bill would remove that distinction. I think that's what it says. I've explained to you before. I need glasses for there and here, but not here. But here. Did you understand that? I didn't. The bill is opens the door. Now listen to this, okay? We are strong supporters. This is who wrote this. This is not my quote. We are strong supporters of Turning Point USA and believe this bill is intended for good, but it does not need to pass. SB 552 could unilaterally protect activist clubs promoting un-American ideologies in school. So this is under the guise, they got all excited about it, and we want clubs, right? Remember, Charlie gets assassinated. And you got 12 theories of what happened. We'll leave it there. And Erica's crying all over the country. I don't want to go there, okay? But that being said, immediately we had all of these big events, and we wanted to start putting Turning Point USA chapters, not just in colleges, but in every high school. And we didn't want them discriminated. If they want a Turning Point USA chapter in the high school, we wanted to force it. And yet, Turning Point USA is down there at the Capitol cheering, and the lawmakers are going out and they're campaigning that you can have a Turning Point USA. Charlie Kirk will always be remembered in your high school. Always get concerned when the cheering happens, okay? Unintentionally, SB 552 can unintentionally protect activist clubs promoting an un-American ideologies in school. The bill opens the door for outside political organizations to influence students on campus to engage in harmful behavior. Meetings are student initiated, but unvetted outside individuals may attend and provide materials to students. All right. Now, if this passed, the bill would prevent schools from rejecting student clubs based on ideology. Examples could include groups organized around socialism or Marxism. Okay. Oh, yeah. You pass this and then tell someone they can't have a Marxist club? And anarchist politics, identity-based political activism. School administrators and law enforcement may face new challenges in managing ideological disputes between student groups, political tension among students, complaints from parents regarding political activity in schools. You got to stop this bill from being passed, 552. You have to. It has nothing to do on whether, find a coffee shop if the school doesn't want political, activity. Find a coffee shop and meet once a week for your Turning Point high school group. I'm just saying. And the same coffee shop can host the Marxist and they can host the other political activism, but not our taxpayer schools. Just saying. You will regret that if you let it happen. So, what's next? Let me see what I got next. This one I'm going to make quick because I'm just running through one story after another because they're very upset. Members of Congress celebrate bringing, and I'll go into great detail on this Monday, but members of Congress celebrate bringing earmarks back to Georgia. This troubles me because this goes to the I'm a Republican, and I remember we fought so hard to get rid of this. But keep this in mind. Again, AI, I ask the question, knowing the answer, and love to hear things like this. So it is a bit of a political, what goes around comes around story. You're spot on. The way I wrote it, it says, AI says I'm spot on. So keep that in mind. Republicans were the driving force behind killing earmarks, and they were also instrumental in the decision to bring them back. Now, we changed earmarks. The 2011 ban was the Tea Party era. The Tea Party era. We banned earmarks. We actually had a goal of, fiscal responsibility. And remember the bridge to nowhere. So I will do this and move on. They have changed the name. All right? It sounds better, right? It's called now community project funding. Well, how can you go wrong? Community project funding, right? Community project funding. So, I just thought I'd put it out there. Now, we'll talk about earmarks and community project funding Monday. Toss up. Remember I told you about this one yesterday. So they have moved the Georgia, Larry Sabato, his crystal ball there in University of Virginia's political think tank, has moved Georgia into what is now called a toss-up in the governor's race. It's gone from leaning Republican, according to them. Now, the Center for Politics at the University of Virginia now says Georgia's race for governor is a toss-up, shifting their forecast from lean Republican. Larry S. Sabato, remember? So I showed you that yesterday. They are moving, and what they say is the uncertainty. The center notes that of the 6 states that backed presidential candidates from both parties in the last 3 elections, Democrats hold 4 of them, Arizona, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, while Republicans hold 2, Georgia and Nevada. So they had Georgia up to leaning Republican, right? Now they have it as a toss-up, and this is after Rick Jackson got into the race. Now never forget, in the governor's race, we have not just a politician that said, hey, I'm no longer a Republican, I'm a Democrat. We have a former lieutenant governor that wants to be governor that says, hey, I'm now a Democrat, and that's Jeff Duncan. And there's a healthy question in this, is why I keep asking it. So the toss-up. Now, I want to run through this, the toss-up, the 1st district. I'm just going to do this briefly before we get to Jackson, because that's going to take a little bit of time, all right? And Burt Jones, the governor's race. So this is, right, this is the 1st district. And in the 1st district, it was represented Buddy Carter, right? Now the congressman from the 1st district, now running for, Senate in the state of Georgia. This is an open seat. It was represented for 22 years by Jack Kingston. They're going to get upset and say, well, you can't make the tie. I'm sorry. Yes, I can. Represented by Jack Kingston for 22 years. He went on to be one of the most influential lobbyists. He is a principal in one of the largest, most powerful lobbyists in Washington, D.C. That's Jack Kingston. Now, his son Jim is running in the 1st district. And what I've said is I want to do everything I can to save this district. I really do. So yesterday, we've got Ted Cruz. Remember, Ted Cruz came in and endorsed Jim Kingston, right? So my opinion is Ted Cruz came in and endorsed Jim Kingston so, he can be close to that lobbyist money when he wants to run and start building up his war chest to run for 2028. Now here's another guy. This guy is the 7th District Congressman, Rich McCormick. I'm proud to support conservative businessman and community leader Jim Kingston for Congress in the Georgia 1st District. Jim is exactly the kind of principled, results-driven leader we need in Washington to fight for job growth, protect our families, defend our freedoms, and help ensure stronger future for America. If you're in the Georgia 1st, please be there to vote for Jim Kingston on May 19th. Now, this guy, all right, Rich McCormick, don't forget, Well, I'll remind you right after I play this. Don't forget, I'm going to remind you of something right after I play this. Let me see, where's that at? Let me take that down, and let's see if I can get this up here.
Is the McCormick Minute. I got a great guy today. Hey, this is Congressman McCormick, and this is the McCormick Minute. I got a great guy to introduce this time. This is your next congressman out of the Georgia 1st District, Buddy Carter's district right now. This guy is leading. He's going to win the primary. He's going to win the general. He's going to be a great member of Congress. Highly intelligent, young, new ideas, great, approachable, humble. This guy is the full package. I'm very excited about Jim Kingston here. He's going to be amazing.
The good fight's not over. We need strong leaders in Washington, D.C., like Congressman Rich McCormick. President Trump cannot do it alone. There's more taxes to cut. There's more reforms to push through. Thank y'all for being here and look forward to seeing Congressman McCormick on the campaign trail. Thank you, sir.
Love it. Appreciate you. Hey, this is Congressman McCormick, and this is the McCormick.
Wait a minute. So he said, right, he said, President Trump cannot do it alone. Now, let me tell you what you're looking at right now. First of all, this is a line of bullshit, a total line of bullshit. And this is what you're witnessing is Jim is part of helping us get past Trump. So when Jim Kingston says Trump can't do it alone, you would not say Trump can't do it alone standing next to Rich McCormick, because don't forget, Rich McCormick endorsed Ron DeSantis. Don't forget that. And Rich McCormick got mad because Donald Trump did not endorse him when he was running for office. He didn't endorse him. And he endorsed, this guy on the screen, endorsed Ron DeSantis. I think he went where? Didn't he go to Iowa and campaign for him? I mean, he traveled. He didn't just endorse Ron DeSantis. Rich McCormick traveled to campaign for him, not just endorse. So what you're seeing here is you got the people that can't wait to get past that day, because the guy he's standing next to, Jim Kingston, that's running for the 1st District, his dad, right? His dad is the lobbyist, right? His dad is the lobbyist, 1st District. There's his dad. They do not care about Donald J. Trump, period. Jim Kingston is not a Trumper. Rich McCormick is down there trying to help Jim Kingston because Rich McCormick wants to run for Senate in 2028 against Raphael Warnock, and he wants to get so close to this money. Absolutely, in Georgia. This is Jack Kingston. This is his dad. He's a principal of this organization. And here it is, Squire Patton Boggs, right? Is that the name of it? That's the organization, Squire Patton Boggs. And right here is we are one of the world's largest and most influential law firms. We operate at a leading edges of law, business, policy over 40 countries, all right? Ties even to Saudi Arabia. And this is Jack Kingston, Jim Kingston's dad. This is why the money, this is why they want that 1st District. Jack Kingston is a former Republican representative from Georgia. Political background. Now, at the very bottom, that last statement says, lobbying and strategy career. Since joining Squire Patton Boggs in February of 2015, Kingston has leveraged his deep legislative experience to represent a wide array of domestic and international interest. Period. One of the most, he is currently serves as a principal at Squire Patton Boggs, one of the largest and most influential lobbying firms in Washington, D.C. So, as I've said, okay, I will not come on here and tell you who to vote for. I will not. I'm not getting in that lane of who to vote for, but I'm telling you right now, no matter how mad people get, vote for somebody on this list, but not Jim Kingston. It's time the 1st District stand up. All right? I'm serious. Now, let's go to the governor's race. So the governor's race in Georgia has found some new lows. I'm serious, okay? Now, I've listened to Rick Jackson speak at several occasions. I have watched Rick Jackson get, he tears up, he gets emotional talking about his childhood, how he was raised, or the lack of being raised by a mom and dad and going through foster care. He gets very emotional. I've heard him talk about his relationship with the Lord came from a church bus that came through the projects that picked him up. He was 12 years old, right? I've heard that all. And I cannot sit here and look at you and tell you this is not a good man. I don't know. You don't know a man's heart. But I will tell you this. The campaign is sinking, and on both sides. On both sides. But the real money that is causing this to get out of hand. You see, I talk about campaign finance all the time. And I talk about we cannot return power that belongs to the individual. People is plural. You have individual power. I was on the phone with someone yesterday, and we were discussing power. You are vested with individual power. So to return the power to you as an individual, and together we are the people that make up this great republic for which it stands, one nation under God. This has gotten out of control, and we're not even nowhere near May 19th. This is a new low, these campaigns. And I'm going to show you in a minute, all right, how Jones-Jackson clash has engulfed governor's race and Georgia politics, all right? So I'm going to rush through because it is Friday. I want to watch college basketball. Cha-ching, right? If you want a sense of how warped, right, is that what it is? Warped, this governor's race has become, start with one number, 77 million. That's how much top political advertisers have already committed on Georgia's airwaves, and primary is still 2 months away. Rick Jackson's unprecedented self-funding is the biggest factor. His $38.6 million in ad reservations alone accounts for roughly half of all spending so far. So he is, some people don't like when we say he's trying to buy, but that's about what it is. He's trying to buy your attention. He's trying to, the commercials are to manipulate you, all right? He has a team. He has hired everyone and anyone in the business that can come and provide the win. Now, I am looking at, because let me tell you something. I always said, all right, who, what, when, where, how, and why. So I used to have a lot of reporters. This goes in a Wayback Machine, and I would read their articles, and they would put them out, and I'd say, I'm reading this, and I'm trying to find my who, what, when, where, and how, and why. And I can't find two of them. You're not telling me who, you're not telling me when, you're not telling me why. And I do that. I do that simple when I'm looking at something. Just one more thing, right? So I'm stuck on Colombo. This says Colombo. I don't know if you can see it. Can you see it? It says Colombo. But Colombo. So just one more thing. So I'm stuck on the why. I'm working on this campaign of governor, and I've put a lot of time into it, and I'm looking at the who, what, when, where, how, why. And I can't get past the why. So I'm going to say something. I thought about this. And I thought, this could offend people. I really did. Let me get past this graphic here. Governor Brian Kemp's full 2018 campaign, the race was launched. It launched his governorship, ran about 22 million total. The 22 GOP primary saw about a $35 million. And this year primary is already approaching a scale of which tops 80 million. So I'm asking why. Because there's some things happening in this campaign. And they're gone past, and I want to be clear. Can we be clear? Can you tell people this? This is not a pro Burt Jones. People that know me, if you go to my Substack and you go back a couple weeks, all right, you could find in-depth, very in-depth with graphics and everything and research, some hard questions that I put forth to Burt Jones. So there's nothing about this pro Burt Jones. But I'm watching this and I'm thinking, wait a minute. This is not about beating Burt Jones. There's something personal here. I've been around people in my whole life, and there's something personal here. And there's a destroy kind of level on this. Like, I will destroy you. See, Rick Jackson, when you start putting the whiteboard and you put clues up, and this is from me, okay? You start putting clues up, you put the $1 billion. Now, Brian Kemp and Burt Jones are not best friends. Now, don't take that wrong, okay? They're not. They're not best friends. I'm not going to say they're the worst enemies, but Marty Kemp, you got to always find out who Marty likes. Seriously, whether you know that or not about Georgia politics, you have to know who Marty likes. But Brian and Marty and Burt are not the best of friends. I don't think Marty's going down. They're going down to, Butts County and riding jet skis on the lake and, going to the cookout and going to the barbecue and going to the Jason Aldean concerts. Yeah, I'm serious. So Rick Jackson, his company, no matter what he says, because when you respond to something a certain way, there's like, wait a minute, are you sure you really feel that way? Because once the question came out and it started coming out on social media and influencers started putting out, hey, this guy got $1 billion, not 100 million, this guy got $1 billion from COVID throughout a period of time under Brian Kemp, under who? Jeff Duncan, Lieutenant Governor, who he supported, Jackson supported in depth. So you got to think all this out. So this guy got $1 billion and no bid contracts from state agencies that are overseen by the governor, lieutenant governor, the loopholes, Jeff Duncan, Jackson's friend, Brian Kemp, obviously an acquaintance. Now, Jackson put it out like Brian Kemp called him during COVID. You got to understand, he put it out that he made 2 saves in America. One was in Georgia. Brian Kemp called me and I saved Georgia and provided the people. Okay? And then I called the president and I called others and I found out we only have one amoxicillin. Is that who it is? One, right? Antibiotic up in Bristol, Tennessee, and I saved America, I saved Georgia. Okay. Then when it came out, the $1 billion no contract, he pushed back. What did he push back? And he pushed back and he said, I don't need that money. I've made my money. I don't need that money. I've made my money. It's Burt Jones that needs the government to make money, not me. Remember? That was the pushback. And that's something I wrote down. I was like, let me write this down because it's tickling my brain. Then I got thinking, well, wait a minute. I don't disagree. You've made your money. But if $1 billion of operating capital through your company comes out and you now have to bid this or whatever it may be, that's operating capital. I don't care how you look at it. $1 billion you extract, you cut that gravy train off. That's large. That's large. Yeah. So I'm thinking about that, right? Then I'm thinking like the only one in the race that could get elected, because Burt Jones said yesterday he's going to do it. The only one that could get elected and say no more money goes to Jackson Health from this day on. You see, Jackson said if he gets elected, he won't take any money. But realistically, Jackson's not. Right? Jackson's not president of Jackson Health. Shane Jackson, his son. Just like Donald Trump has Eric running the Trump empire, making money every day. So Donald Trump, Rick Jackson, think about it. If he was to win, he said he wouldn't take any more. If he wins. Okay. So, but if he loses, let's say Jeff Duncan, former lieutenant governor of Georgia, is now governor, I wonder if Jeff Duncan would cut him off. But Burt Jones will. I think this is all about money myself personally, okay? When I say all, that's a big word, but it's about money. And it's about revenge because Burt Jones and Jeff Duncan, no friendship there. Remember, Jeff Duncan's the one who stripped Burt Jones all of his committee assignments. Don't forget. So, I'm just telling you, this goes much deeper than Rick Jackson getting a feeling one day in that high office overlooking Alpharetta, the glass office, very fancy. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with capitalism, making money, but $1 billion. Nothing, I'm not convinced yet on the why. That he looked out and he said, I've got to save Georgia. Just too corrupt. Too corrupt. He hasn't said anything about elections. Now, he will say something about elections because he's hearing that's something, he is hearing that's something he needs to address or be prepared to answer questions. That could hurt him. So he's prepping for that. But I can't get the why. And I'm going to tell you, this is going to offend some people. So turn this off if you're offended by this. Okay? I'm serious. Turn this off right now if this offends you. Because someone sent me a message and said, why do you think he's running? I get that all the time, okay? Why do you think he's running? So here was my answer. Let me find this. Let's see, I had it. Who did I send it to? Where was it at? Let's see. Wait a minute. Where's it at? Hold on just a second. I have it here. I know I do. Okay. So I get a lot of messages. So I was asked, now this is your chance if this offends you, because this is pretty raw, to turn this off. If not, okay. Why is Jackson running? This was my reply. Jackson is a smart man. He knows he cannot win the general election. Okay? He's a smart man. He knows he can't win the general election. Why does a 71-year-old billionaire want a full-time job? All right? Now this is where you may get offended. I have attended some of his events. Majority is senior white people. Okay? He is not Trump. He has no appeal to the minorities. Right? He's not going to go on Theo Vaughn. All right? He's not going on Joe Rogan. He's not going to an Ultimate Fighting. All right? He's not. So he doesn't have, to me, has no appeal to minorities. This is where you're going to get offended, all right? He looks old. And then I gave my age. And I'm not giving you my age, but I gave my age. And the reason I gave my age is so, like, look, I'm not just saying that, hey, I could look older than I used to. Here's what I said. He looks old, and young voters are tired of old white people in office. Now, well, that makes me mad. I don't think that's right. I think that's white. I'm not telling you that to say, oh, that's the way it should be. I'm just telling you that's where we're at in America right now. All right? Young voters are tired of old white people in office. So he can't win the general. So why? And I wrote Jeff Duncan. Now that's my thought. That's my thought, okay? So I keep seeing this. Now somebody said to me yesterday, well, if you get these flyers in the mail, he's sending them to Republican voters. Folks, let me just say this. This is paid for by Jackson for governor. This is a social media. Keisha Lance, this is social media, okay? Paid for by, on your social media feed, he's not just getting Republican voters. He is spending a lot of money right now going after Keisha Lance Bottoms, all right? That's a direct help for Jeff Duncan. So Rick Jackson grew up in the projects, tough on crime, end criminal illegal immigration, secure Georgia. So when you see he's going to be tough on crime, when you see he's going to end criminal illegal immigration, Rick Jackson will ensure that Georgia law enforcement works with the federal government to deport criminal illegal immigrants. So here is one example, right? This guy killed another Georgian's life has been taken by a criminal who never should have been in our country or state. My prayers are with Mr. Reynolds' family and loved ones. This is exactly why I'm going to work with President Trump and ICE to make Georgia the #1 state for criminal deportations. This can't keep happening. So Felix here, Camacho, a criminal alien, a legal alien from Guatemala, was taken into custody by ICE this week after he caused a motor vehicle accident in Georgia, killing a 63-year-old Thomas Wayne Reynolds. All right. Now, he has a rap sheet. He had a DUI before. I don't know all the details in the past, but you can look it up. This guy has a rap sheet. So that being said, why is Rick Jackson not saying, hey, when I become governor, I promise the same BS The same line Brian Kemp gave you is not going to, I'm not going to do it. I got the big truck out. I borrowed the big truck from Brian Kemp. I'm just saying. Now, this is where I think the campaign just goes into a new low. And I'm looking for the why. This is a low, okay? I do not mind at all are you going after Burt Jones. It doesn't bother me at all. All right? Let's answer some of your, let's get out on the campaign trail and not hate thou brother, right? I'm just saying, not hate thou brother, and start explaining how you're going to cut taxes. Start explaining how you're going to freeze property tax. Start explaining how you're going to do this. Why don't you tell us you brought in the best policy? How do you plan the structure of the governor's office? You've never been in there. So here is, meanwhile, at the Georgia Capitol. Georgia has plenty of let's see, here we go. I want to get this up right here. So down at the Georgia Capitol this morning, there is a Bert and Ernie. Bert and Ernie, bribebert.com. Now, I showed you the other day the bribebert.com website, right? Right? And this is where I started thinking, here is Bert and Ernie. And they're down at the Capitol, right? And if you see something, say something. Now, that one got me. If you see something, say something. Call 999-PAY-BERT. Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones has a record of taking campaign cash and passing laws that benefit his family business. Whistleblowers and others can provide information. So you can go anonymously and visit bribebert.com. And I just got to looking at this, and it reminded me of something. Here you go. They're down there at the Capitol. Here you go. bribebert.com. That's Bert and Ernie. So if that's Burt Jones, who is Ernie supposed to be? Actually, I know who it's supposed to be. So I got to thinking. For me, I have to tell you, for me, this is a new low. I love having fun, but I got to thinking, Jeff Duncan. Why can't I get Jeff Duncan off the brain with Rick Jackson? See, I do not think, I have offered, I'm serious. Because you know what? I will come back and I will play the total recording unedited. I'm not CBS. I'm not Leslie Stahl or whatever. I will play the total recording unedited. I won't cut anything out. I have offered to sit down with Mr. Jackson and ask these hard questions and give him a chance to answer. Let him answer. If he looks at the camera and he says, I've got nothing to do with Jeff Duncan, and yes, I approve everything that happens in this campaign, and, fine. But I'd like to have him sit down one-on-one and have a respectful conversation. So I keep going back to Jeff Duncan because if you haven't watched before, let me just be clear. Jeff Duncan lives where? Forsyth County. He is a friend of Rick Jackson, Jackson Healthcare, Forsyth County. Now, Jackson was very financially helpful to Mr. Duncan, the minor league baseball player that can never throw a pitch fast enough to get in the major leagues. He's always been minor league Duncan to me. Minor league Duncan. And so Jackson was very instrumental in him becoming a Georgia State House member. And then Jackson was super over the top instrumental financially in Jeff Duncan becoming lieutenant governor. And Jeff Duncan was supposed to be in there for 8 years. And I'm for sure that would have been a great benefit to Jackson Healthcare for Jeff Duncan. They're very close. We do not, I've asked AI, can you find out? I've asked AI to look for articles where Jackson has really denounced Duncan, where Jackson has come out and said, I never want to see Jeff Duncan in my office again. Because remember, Jackson put that ad out that called Brad Raffensperger on February 4th when he announced, right, Judas. And if Brad Raffensperger is Judas, how do you define the Judas on the screen to your party, your country, your president, our elections? Find me where he's called Jeff Duncan Judas. Find me where he's told Jeff, don't ever come to my office again. All right? Now, I've always wondered, you know I do, what the deal was, right? What was the deal with Donald Trump and what was the deal with Donald Trump So I started looking and I kept thinking, I can't get over the website, okay? I cannot get over the website. And I kept thinking and thinking and thinking, what does it remind me of, right? What does bribebert.com remind me of? Please give us an anonymous tip. Well, this is a playbook kind of thing. It's not unusual, but the way it's laid out, everything, it reminded me of this right here. It's all it did. It reminded me of this, and I'm going to explain why. This is an article back when David Schaefer, right, one of the electors, GOP chair at the time of 2020, David Schaefer, right? Now, let me give you just a quick history lesson so you'll have it in your pocket for the day. Now, David Schaefer, a former state senator. And I want to tell you something, they stick together. Now, I'm not going to tell you when you go to the Capitol that a state senator is not going to be friendly with a House member. I'm not going to tell you that. But it's a fraternity, your state senators. If you were in the senator fraternity, okay? If you were in the senator fraternity, keep this in mind, you don't turn on each other. David Schaefer was president pro temp, is that it? Pro tempore of the Georgia State Senate. Meaning there was Casey Cagle and David Schaefer. Right? Just like Larry Walker today. Now keep this in mind. So you got David Schaefer, you got Senate. You got Josh McCoon, Senate. You've got Burt Jones, a Georgia State Senator that became Lieutenant Governor, Senate. Now, the Senate always feels that the Senate, just that, belongs to them. One of their own. Now, Jeff Duncan, at the time, he ran for Lieutenant Governor and was backed by Rick Jackson. Jeff Duncan, a member of the House. How dare you be a member of the House, think you're going to run for lieutenant governor, come over to our chamber and preside over us, the senators, not one of our own. How dare you? So that was the first, that was bad, according to how it works, because I know how it works. So David Schaefer is supposed to be your next lieutenant governor, right? He is president tempore, whatever it is, of the Senate. He runs for lieutenant governor. He thinks he's heir apparent. Jeff Duncan with none other than Rick Jackson's money. Don't forget, now after Schaefer loses, he goes on to the Georgia GOP. That's where 2020, and that's where Jeff Duncan was totally alienated in Georgia. And Rick Jackson totally watched his investment going down the drain. That's the way politics works, folks. It's just truth. You're in the truth zone right here. Okay? So, Georgia candidate, this is where I got to thinking about the Burt Jones. Georgia candidate sets up site to rebut opponent's deceptive claims. So this is an article from the AJC, and this is 2018. All right? Republican Lieutenant Governor hopeful David Schaefer's campaign launched a website Thursday aimed at rebutting claims being made by his runoff opponent. Schaefer's campaign says mailers and commercial paid for by a Washington-based Political Action Committee contains egregious lies about the candidate. So Schaefer is going to push back here, okay? This is what he's doing. This is 2018. Jeff Duncan, remember this. I'm going somewhere with this. So Schaefer, a state senator, is competing against former state representative Jeff Duncan in the July runoff. The website, right, deceptiveduncan.com/lies was launched in a way to expose and rebut Duncan's lies. Schaefer's campaign said they were doing. Deceptive Jeff Duncan will say anything, no matter how untruthful or dishonest. Now, these are political pushbacks, and all of your political consultants, they'll spew that out. But keep in mind the way it's written, right? Deceptive Jeff Duncan. Jeff Duncan, he knows how to play dirty now. He does. So, in flyers paid for by Hometown Freedom Action Network, the group refers to Shady David Schaefer. The allegations: he is being sued on accusations of conspiracy, used his political position to get rich, and used his power to shut down a sexual harassment investigation against him. So in 2018, Jeff Duncan, very friendly, financed by Rick Jackson, is going for the throat on David Schaefer. Hometown Freedom Action Network, a group, refers to Shady David Schaefer. The allegations: he is being sued on accusations of conspiracy, using political position to get rich, and used his power to shut down a sexual harassment against him. Well, now, what does that all come from? I remember this like now these websites don't exist anymore. You can't go there. But I remember it was like it's yesterday. I remember it because I followed this campaign. Schaefer's website comes nearly 3 weeks after Duncan launched one of his own. Right? You remember this one? SchaeferWhistleblowers.com, which seeks anonymous tips about how Schaefer earns a living or allegations of corruption during Schaefer's time in public office. You can almost paste that over the website they've launched on Burt Jones. You can almost paste it identical over. And remember what this was. It was to SchaeferWhistleblowers.com, which seeks anonymous tips, because you can go, right? Which seeks anonymous tips about Schaefer earns a living or allegations of corruption during Schaefer's time in public office. Like, damn. I'm thinking, wow, I can almost lay that right over the top. Right? Of this website here. If you see something, say something. Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones has a record of taking campaign cash and passing laws that benefit his family. Whistleblowers. Same. I mean, I know it's just maybe a coincidence. David Schaefer, whistleblowers.com. Whistleblowers and others can provide information about unethical and suspicious, activity about Burt Jones. Anyone with information, visit bribeburt.com. You can almost lay the Jeff Duncan playbook right over top of this right here. Almost. I'm just saying. I have to get to the why. Now, someone's going to look at me and say, BKP, you doing a hell of a lot of speculating there. Now, that's some speculating right there. I get it. I'm with you loud and clear. All right? But I'm telling you now, that right there, what is happening, really reminds me, I need for my gut to tell me that these guys are no longer communicating. I need something from my gut that this relationship is done. And until I get it, I got to have something in my gut on that one. I really do. TSA lines. TSA. Department of Homeland Security. We'll talk about that Monday. Because, folks, I have to tell you, the one thing, let me go here before we leave for the day. I like my brackets. And I like college basketball. And this one right here, all right, we've got a lot of games today. Now, who had, if you're out there, who had High Point over Wisconsin? Because your bracket is busted, right? Who had High Point over, and who had Texas over BYU? I just want to know. And then Georgia, sadly to report, all right, Georgia yesterday got their handed to them. I mean, double-handed. Boom, boom, boom. Double-cheeked, right? Yes. They got their whole, they didn't even half blanket. They whole kicked it. 102, St. Louis, number 9, right, over number 8, Georgia. 102-77. Just embarrassing, Georgia. Come on, man. And then, so we've got a lot of great, and I got one more. I watched this one last night. Where am I at here? This is the last one. I watched this one last night. It really, I want to know right now, who had VCU over North Carolina? I didn't. I didn't have VCU over North Carolina. Come back from 19 down. I watched that overtime. Who had VCU over North Carolina? Interesting. So it's March Madness. And don't forget, the madness is in Atlanta. And as I have said in the nicest way I can put it, President Trump only has, and I'm telling you right now, he's only got about 2 weeks left. I'm serious. He's got to figure out something. Because the grocery store, the trucking companies, the price is going up. He's got to do something. All right? And help us save our mission right now, the 1st District, from Jim Kingston, the lobbyist, Rich McCormick, Ted Cruz, the swamp creatures, right? Help me, help us all. Don't hesitate to send me a message, BKP at bkppolitics.com. You can text me, 706-889-9700. Let me know if there's anything going. Now, next Thursday night, I'll promote it all next week, but next Thursday night I'm going to be in Macon. I want you to come see us there. They have given me 45 minutes. I'm going to be working this weekend on a speech, and we're going to do a presentation, and it's about the Georgia Republican Party. Where are we at? Where are we at? We're going to whiteboard some things. Where are we at the Georgia Republican Party? Can we get our ship in the right direction for 2026? And if not, what's the future hold for our party? I'm going to work on it this weekend, so we'll go there. And another thing is we have had, I don't know, the marketing department. Yeah, I say it like we have this great marketing department down the hall, and I'm in some big corporate, but our marketing department, we'll put it like that. There are some candidates. We know of one that's already sent some stuff over that wants to place advertising on our podcast. So it will say advertising. I will let you know. But any candidate that is on this screen is not endorsed. And yes, they have paid our marketing department to be on the podcast. We're very transparent here, unlike some. All right, folks, I'm going to go watch college basketball. And text me. Tell me what you think. Tell me if I really offended you today. I'm just checking. Have a nice weekend. God bless you. God bless America. God bless Georgia. There you go.
What happens in Georgia gets revealed one by one as the facts are unsealed. From the pit comes what they don't want you to see. When the daily nugget of truth is dropped with your host, BKP.